and welcome to episode 6 of the Bentley and Maniwa Variety Show. I am Pro Wrestling's BFF, Nick Maniwa. Nick Maniwa?
Nick Maniwa?
What? Anyway.
I am Reed by God. Damn it, Bentley. New thing we're trying to. We need an X-rated show somewhere so I can be Reed by God damn it, Bentley. So, you know, if you're looking to book
St. Louis Anarchy.
Yeah, St. Louis Anarchy. Pierre. This is pretty much, this is a me-free episode, honestly, other than this intro, so I'm going to try and drag the intro out as long as possible because we filmed 2 episodes last week. We filmed one with myself and Maniwa that we put out last week, and then you filmed one with just Sir Jimothy Fannin and Sir Mitch Page.
Right. And I want to thank everyone for the feedback on last week's episode because I really thought that was going to be like our weakest episode.
Yeah, we went into it with literally no game plan, no outline, no bullet points. Quite literally. No game plan, no outline. And so I'm glad you guys just liked us, you know, talking, saying words.
So shout-outs to Leonard F. Carson.
Shout out to Mark Jacobs. I wish we could get sponsored by like Mark Jacobs or someone fancy like.
The clothing guy?
Yeah, like Devitt has that, who is it? Fucking, Armani is sponsoring Devitt. Like,
for real?
Yeah, like legit.
Oh, wow.
He has like Armani suits and stuff. I need that real, like a fancy, I'll take like Express or somewhere like that.
Fubu, hit us up.
Yeah, Fubu, Rockaware. I'm the Hood's wrestler.
I did an episode, which you'll hear very soon, with Jim Fannin and Mitch Page talking about our IWA Mid-South days. Mostly their IWA Mid-South days. They broke in together, stuff like that. I know people like to, people do call Jim Fannin an asshole.
Yeah.
So hopefully this podcast changes your opinion. He's just a misunderstood dude, and he was a very angry man back then. But since getting married, he's calmed down a little bit. More chill of a dude.
Definitely.
He doesn't throw bottles out of moving cars at people that cut him off and threaten to beat him up at exit 95.
He's no longer getting into locker room altercations and with New Jack.
Yeah,
and
not backing down.
Yeah, and you know, telling New Jack that he's not afraid to die, motherfucker.
Yeah, he's uttered those words a lot. So.
Good for him. You know, I'm still an angry young man.
Chris Hero was actually the one that defused that situation.
Really?
So props to that. You know, because Chris Hero had known Jim Fannin for years.
Mm-hmm.
He had known New Jack for a while. So
yeah, I wish I could have been around for that episode. I think it would have been a lot of fun if it could have been all 4 of us. So I'm definitely gonna have to actually listen back to this upcoming episode here so I can hear the interview. I really like Fannin. I really like Mitch. They're 2 awesome dudes that I've been lucky enough to meet since I got into wrestling. Through you, of course. I mean, I think the first time I hung out with both Mitch and Fannin was when Fannin was in for his birthday one year. I think it was after a shitty Wolfpack show where Mitch did something.
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
Maybe that Roland show.
It might have been the
Roland show. I think.
Yeah, and it was. I got to meet Fannin. His. I think at that time they were just engaged, weren't they? Or were they already married?
I'm not sure.
Got to meet all those people for the first time. It was definitely a fun outing.
Jess was still vegan then.
Yeah, Jess was still a straight edge vegan at that point. So, how times have changed.
Yeah.
It was really fun, despite the show being kind of it was still fun, it was still in good spirit, but it was not
I should have booked the show.
It was not the plan you had for it,
right.
Considering when it started, you had it booked, and then the other people that were involved and paying people, or getting the building and stuff kind of changed plans and interfered. It was going to be a way more, they tried to treat it just like a regular wrestling show, rather than it just be, this should be all fun matches, this should be in memory of Roland, just like a fun
and people that were close to him, no offense to the dude, they brought in Doug Gilbert, who had another booking in Evansville the night after.
Yeah.
And they brought him in, even though everyone worked free, they paid him trans and hotel money to come up and work the show.
Yeah.
First off, Mitch Page told me going to the show, Roland did not like Doug Gilbert at all. They didn't mesh. They were from 2 different generations, I guess. And so guys like that didn't need to be on the show. Guys like
and it was like a spur of the moment thing, so it's not even like it was advertised and
Right.
got people in the building or
Right,
anything.
right.
So
Yeah, they're not Sony tickets. But let's, we got a little bit of time for this intro. Let's talk about your weekend. You did Dreamwave, Gauntlet for the Gold, which is their big Royal Rumble type show.
I did. It was Dreamwave was really really fun this weekend. The Good as Gold. I really enjoy Royal Rumble type matches.
I really enjoy properly done Battle Royal, more so Royal Rumble type matches. I know CWF Mid-Atlantic, we're plugging these dudes every week.
Yeah.
But they do a weekly or a yearly
Royal
Rumble type show. I know IWA when we were still involved, they did one every year.
Rumble, yeah.
And I really enjoy, especially when the storylines and it's not just dudes getting in the ring getting thrown out.
Yeah.
When the storylines are intermingling and there's angles being brought into the dance and being built and stuff like that, I really enjoy that in big battle royals.
Yeah, Royal Rumble, big battle royal stuff. It's kind of like, it's kind of like wrestling tournaments or anything like that. They can be done and they can just happen, or they can be done properly and have, like when we talked about on the TPI episode, when we talked about storylines that intermingled all the way from the very first round up until the main event of the tournament. It's very much how Good as Gold was this weekend. If you haven't got on the Dreamwave bandwagon, you definitely should. I had never seen Dreamwave until a couple of years ago, and I found out about him because of Cabana. He was always, he always plugs his upcoming dates on his podcast, and he talked about Dreamwave in LaSalle, and a few months after that, Christian Rose made his debut. He came in end of 2011, I want to say right around October of 2011, I think, so he's been there for 2 years now almost. He was the first one of our crew to be a permanent member of the roster. Cage and Danny Cannon, who unfortunately no longer wrestles.
Because he's stupid.
Yeah, because he's a dumb idiot head. Had went and done like a tryout, pre-show type match, and we're going to be brought back, and then things didn't happen. And then from there, it's kind of spiraled out of control. Now it is, it's WrestleFam and friends, basically, is the roster at Dreamwave. And it's really a well-done show. I think I put it over last week. It's the most well-run, professional business. Yeah, business type of wrestling. They do the best business. They might not be the most well-known, but when you go in and there's going to be 400 people there every single month, without a doubt. It's just really, it's a good show overall. The Good as Gold was really fun. I came in number 22.
Yeah.
I think entrance myself. Basically, it was Christian Rose came in, then myself, and then Dan the Man made his big return.
Yeah, he was 24, so he's 2 after you.
Was there someone in between us?
Yeah, I don't know who.
Oh, okay. I thought he was 23. Yeah, it was crazy. He when Dan came out, I think it was about 4 months ago, he took that nasty spill due to Jimmy Carrot being an unsafe idiot and just, not at all getting even a hand on him. He just moved, and Dan the Man hit the floor and took a really nasty spill, bleeding on the brain, a broken collarbone. He wasn't able to work his, everyday job. So we did a benefit show a few months back, and got him enough money to at least cover his bills and stuff for a few months. The pop was crazy. I've legitimately, I don't know that I've ever heard a reaction that loud and that genuinely happy. People were just, as soon as Dan's music hit, they knew it was him. It was loud. It was Road Warrior pop. It was crazy.
And the dude's, 100 pounds, soaking wet with a half shirt on.
Yeah, and he does, just this, really fun, really just upbeat superhero gimmick, he's a really good dude. As soon as he came out, I knew Dan the Man was going to get in and clean house, so I went over and just fell down in the corner and stuck my tongue out and pretended to be dead so that I did not get the wrath of Dan the Man. And it was really fun. It came down to myself, Matt Cage, and Christian Rose. We were the final 3. There was this moment where I had just eliminated Marche Rocket, and I turn around and Christian Rose and Matt Cage are coming up. People who know anything about me or about them realize that we are the very best of friends. We travel to shows together, my wrestling brothers. And there was just this really, really sincere, genuine moment that we all felt, where we all three kind of came up. We started circling each other. The fans came up as we come up, and it was one of the most special moments that I've had in wrestling so far, and I got to share it with two of my best friends. So that definitely meant the world. And then myself and Matt Cage proceeded to beat the dog shit out of Christian Rose. It was really fun. Matt Cage ended up winning that. Definitely, like I said, check out Dreamwave if you haven't. They are on Smart Mark Video. They're taped by Smart Mark Video. So, you know, it's going to be well produced. It's going to look good. And it's going to be reasonably priced. So go over to smartmarkvideo.com or smvod.com.
You can
check
get
it out.
the SMV.
They have a really quick turnaround time.
Yeah.
They're on that they're on that hotness-ish of, you know, just like a week, 2-week turnaround.
And I think on the SMVOD site, it's like $9.99 for a show.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely these
cheap.
days. Yeah, I think people these days.
Or it's $12.99 for a MP4, which you can buy on the smartmarkvideo.com site. Still a tremendous bargain. You know, it's going to cost, you know, $15 for a DVD plus $5 shipping. Plus, you know, if you live overseas, we do have some overseas viewers or listeners rather. You know, that's going to cost even more. So you can just download the MP4, watch the stream for $10.
You don't need the hard copy
$13
unless you're just like rolling in the dough.
Unless you're this guy we know, Coy Cook. He just buys every DVD.
Yeah, it's a guy. You know, he's dumb. You know, he just buys ridiculous amounts of things. But you know, beef jerky. You know, that's a thing he likes to buy. DVDs.
Coloring books.
Pop Funko figures.
Yeah.
You know, oversized extra large hats. You know, lots of things.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, if you're that rich and you really just want that hard copy that bad, why don't you just download the MP3 and then send me some money?
Send you the extra like $5 or $6 that they would have spent on the DVD.
No, like $50 or $60. You know, they might as well just, if they've got money to throw around, they might as well go ahead and fund.
Well, you will have another run of best ofs coming out soon, which you mentioned last week.
I will have another run of best ofs, and I want to start putting together the second volume soon. I feel like there's been a lot of stuff just since the first one was released.
There's been a lot of stuff that even I haven't seen, especially like your Dreamwave stuff that I haven't seen personally.
Stuff that just actually is DVD distributed, so nobody really gets to check it out. My Pro Wrestling Tees store will be open soon.
Hopefully.
I'm waiting on that email back. I don't know, Cole Cabana, if you're listening.
He's fucking not listening to this. Prazak listens. Maybe he can text Cabana for us. Because I know Cole Cabana ain't listening to this shit.
No, he's definitely not listening to this. So, Dave Prazak, text your good friend Colt Cabana. I know we've talked about this new Gold Bond Mafia thing. It's money, man. So, yeah, I'll have plenty of new merchandise coming up here soon. And I also have PayPal, so if you ever just feel like making a donation to your favorite neighborhood,
don't do it.
Just do it.
Do you have an Amazon wish list?
It's not complete yet. I do have one. Apparently, you're not allowed to put it out there, though. You can make one.
You can't beg. You can't say, hey, this person buy me GTA 5. But you don't need that because you already have
it. Because I just picked up my copy of GTA 5 this morning.
Let's talk about the girl in line behind you.
Oh, man, yeah. I go inside. I went last night to pick it up. I get there at
breaking news: Mickey James is gone from TNA.
Woo! Man,
says Tracy Smothers on Facebook, and she's the current TNA Knockouts champion. Or no, I think she lost it to ODB on a TV taping.
Okay,
but still.
So Tracy Smothers is the breaking news for what's going on in TNA.
Yeah, his status update on Facebook.
Well,
saw where Mickey James has gone from TNA. Wow. But anyway, if anyone wants to book Mickey James to sit on my face, we can absolutely do that.
No, that's inappropriate. I mean, I totally agree with him, but
he does one edit job of show.
One edit job.
Yeah.
Let's
talk about the girl.
Yeah, she was. Like, I went last night while I was working. I tried to sneak over while I was on the clock, and
that didn't work out for you.
Well, I mean, I went over there, but it turns out the line was all the way from GameStop down to like Kroger, which is like a block away.
Right.
Or a block's distance.
Right. And it's all in the same.
Yeah, it's all in the same shopping center, but it's like a whole city block distance wise.
Right.
And so I was like, oh man, I can't be waiting around for all this. They told me though that they're guaranteed. I was guaranteed a copy. So I came back at like 1:45. Like I was like, okay, I think they're open till 2, but turns out they had just closed up shop. So I went ahead and got it this morning when I was on the way over here. I get in line, and the girl behind me is on her phone, like she's complaining to whoever she's talking to of, I had to go back in and get my license. Do I not look like I'm old enough to play a mature game? I'm 25. And, you know, just going
Did she look it?
Yeah, I mean, she didn't look good, but she looked 25. And so she's complaining about all that, complaining about her boyfriend, I assume it is, or maybe her brother, having her go pick it up for him.
Oh, definitely the boyfriend. She ain't doing that for her brother.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, she's kind of out there. And then she immediately goes, you know, and I think I'm gonna have to stop watching. You know, I was up all night crying. I'm gonna have to stop watching wrestling, which immediately piqued my interest. And
mine too.
Yeah.
When you told me that, I was like, oh, this is gonna be good.
I was like, oh man, she was up all night crying. She's gonna stop watching wrestling. What's going on? She's like, it's just not fair. They keep letting the Shield come out and beat Daniel Bryan up.
That's amazing. That is so good. That is so good. I don't know if you understand, folks, how good that is.
Yeah, like at first, like I wanted to laugh and like shit on it, you know, but like then at the same time, I was like, man, that's so genuinely like sincere.
The only thing better if she would have been like, they beat the shit out of Dusty Rhodes and he got taken away in an ambulance.
I don't know if he's gonna be all right. His son just got fired and now he got beat up.
Right, that would have made it.
Yeah.
But you know, if wrestlers and fans and smart marks or whatever want to make fun of fans like that, that's who buys the tickets.
Yeah, that's who's literally putting. If you're in the big leagues, that's who's putting food on your table.
Right.
If you're in the minor leagues, that is who is making your gas money.
So I will never make fun of a fan for believing.
No, definitely not. I mean, I'm glad there's still people out there. Like at first, you know, like being a wrestler, I'm just like, oh man, you know, kind of get mental eye roll, and I chuckled, and then you know, I kind of sat there and I was like, man, that's heartwarming almost. Like that's a sincere reaction. That really shows you what storytelling is done. It's getting an emotional reaction out of people. It's telling a story.
That's what they want.
That's what wrestling is. I mean, we are the last true form of performance art.
Right.
And I wholeheartedly believe that. I don't believe there's anything else out there that matches up with what we do as professional wrestlers in terms of performance art and entertainment, you know, physical entertainment. So it was a funny story. You know, it was funny to hear her reaction like that. You know, they just keep beating the hell out of Daniel Bryan.
And I've had
he won the WWE Championship, and then they something with the ref, and they took the belt back from him. You know, and he achieved his dream. You know, she was so.
And like me as a wrestling fan and being in wrestling as much as I am, when someone, a friend or so, you know, has that reaction, like, oh man, they're screwing this guy over or whatever. I don't know how to respond because, you know, I know it's a storyline. I mean, they know it's not, you know, legit happening, but
some of them, yeah,
they just want to believe so bad, and they do believe in it. It gets, you know, wrestling for me gets me the most emotional out of anything in life.
Yeah,
I do not get extremely mad at anything except for crappily done wrestling shows. Shittily done wrestling shows with referees that want to talk to the crowd instead of call the match.
Man.
I at one time at a wrestling show wished for a referee to, I hope you get into a car wreck on the way home. I hope you die, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Because this guy thought it would be wise to
There's footage of this up on YouTube. Yeah. You can see us in the background. Like, I got pissed. I stood up. I yelled at him, you know, for 2 or 3 minutes. The minute my ass hit my chair, Maniwa shot up and launched into him, and he's way louder than me. His voice projects way more than mine, so you can literally hear, you know, you fucking moron. You can hear it so clearly.
I hope you die.
From the balcony camera.
Right.
Like the balcony.
There was another cam that was on the floor, and that's since been removed, so I don't know if he saw it and was sad that I was yelling at him or whatever.
Fuck him.
Yeah, this is a balcony shot.
Jay Rush stole his wife, so, you know.
Yeah, so shout outs to all the LCW guys that listen to this.
Shout out to LCW alums.
Arnie Swartz and Pat Cross. And
Dark Priest, who gets a lot of love from Charlie Thomas.
Yeah, he loves that dude.
Yeah.
But I guess we're going to wrap it up with this intro and get you guys into the Me, Mitch Page, Jim Fannin portion of the show. It's going to be 2 different episodes because we talked for a long time. We went about 2 hours, so we're going to split it up, an hour here, an hour there, so you don't get tired of hearing our beautiful voices. And I hope you enjoy everything. If you want to hit me up, feedback, anything, we do have a Bentley and Maniwa Variety Show Twitter.
Yeah, we have a Twitter, a Tumblr. What else do we have? Twitter, Tumblr, no Instagram yet.
No Instagram.
Twitter, Tumblr, and a hashtag. Maybe a fan page here soon. If we get enough, listeners, we might start a page on Facebook. Facebook's whatever.
Yeah, because Facebook wants you to charge you for shit now. So.
Yeah,
But you can follow the Bentley Maniwa Variety Show Twitter at BNMVS. That's it.
At BNMVS. Yeah. The hashtag is also BNMVS.
And Tumblr. I still haven't done the TPI fantasy brackets, but what are you gonna do? I got them, you don't, and you're never gonna see them.
It's so funny.
So, bnmbs.tumblr.com. I actually did post the Victoria match that we referenced last show on the Tumblr.
Yep. With
the wicked chair shot.
Yeah.
And posted a little caption about it. So, there is going to be more than just shows on that. But, like I said, feedback, anything, hashtag BNMBS. You can tag us both.
Which, funny story real quick,
okay.
The weird chair shot Victoria gave, if you play the Monday Night Raw game on, I played it on Genesis this weekend, when you go outside and you grab the chair that's leaned up against the ring, you pick it up upside down. So I think that Victoria was playing a lot of Monday Night Raw
as
on
Luna
Genesis.
Vachon.
As Luna, yeah. Or as Bam Bam Bigelow, I don't know. You never know.
Right.
And I guess that's where she learned how to do chair shots.
As always, you can hit me up at Nick Maniwa on Twitter, on Tumblr, Not Safe for Work, on Snapchat, on Kick, on Facebook. Literally anything you got, I got it. Yep. At nickmaniwa at gmail.com if you want to email me. Anything, hit me up.
That goes the same for me. I'm the Reed Bentley, THE, the Reed Bentley, however you want to pronounce it, on literally all the social media.
Quite literally
all the social medias. So interact with us, talk to us, keep us entertained during day and night. Between the two of us, we are up at literally every hour of the day at some point.
So many. If you new game, take a shot every time Reed Bentley says literally in this intro.
Yeah.
You are dead. You have alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, you are quite literally
a zombie.
Yeah.
And with that said, enjoy the show. Let us know what you think. I am joined by 2 guests, so there is a little extra flavor in the mix. I'm joined by guests from episode number 1, me and Mitch Page.
Here I am. Thank you.
And also joined by the devil himself, as I called him, Jim Fannin.
I demand a retraction and a public apology for that. Maybe a bad guy, but not the devil.
I said he sold his soul to the devil. I didn't call you the devil.
It comes off as being the same when people hear it. If you sell your soul to the devil so you can team up with me, that's insinuating that I'm the devil.
That is true.
And I had my reasons.
And then you caused, and then it led to a BMF beatdown for Jimmy Jacobs. So
it did, and that was one of the more fun times I had as a manager. Right. Of course, it didn't end up working out because some people decided to play pranks on the owner of the company and get fired 2 shows into the reboot of the BMFers, but
always comes back to me getting fired.
Right.
Always.
Well, let's go back a little bit before all the firings, because not a lot of people know this, but you guys broke into wrestling together. I believe the first thing you guys did was getting beat down by Bull Payne as security. Am I wrong? Am I right?
Yeah, that ranks in there as one of the first things, other than many miles behind the wheel of a Ryder U-Haul truck.
Right.
Hours of setting up rings and chairs, and it all came down to one horrible night where Bull Payne and Was it just Bull? Was there...
Maybe.
Well, it was a 8-man tag in the... Was it barbed wire cage or just a regular cage?
So maybe like Doug Gilbert.
There was Doug Gilbert. There was Ox Harley. There
Tracy.
was the Macho Warrior Rick Tower of Doom pedophile savage.
Piece of crap he was.
Kenny Bolin was involved in there. I think Flash Flanagan was in there.
Jason Lee probably.
I think a lot of those
There was a
guys
lot of
actually
guys in
kicked
there.
me. I'm not sure exactly, but quite a few of them. Yeah, I remember that night. It was a pretty good
let's
night.
talk about Mitch. We talked about your early goings in pro wrestling. So Jim Fannin, let's talk to you about why you even wanted to get into pro wrestling, or I don't think you planned to be a manager at that time. You were just trying to be involved and help run shows and stuff like that, right?
Well, that's not even 100% accurate. It was, a little backstory was my father had an accident when I was 3 years old while he was working for the Illinois State Police, left him paralyzed from the waist down, so in a wheelchair. So all we really got to do, father-son wise, was watch TV together.
Right.
And so it was Saturday night, TBS, the Superstation, watch wrestling. And loved watching wrestling with my father, and went to the University of Kentucky to go to school, and ended up meeting two guys, Les Johns and Ben Rich, that were fellow big-time wrestling fans like I was, and the internet had just started at that point.
Right.
There was like AOL Grandstand or something like that.
This is what year? 97, 98?
Would have been like January of 97.
Right.
So AOL Grandstand, and we started reading stuff about. We had been watching ECW for a couple of years, and we started reading results on AOL Grandstand about a federation in Louisville running shows that was using ECW guys. So we were like, we got to check this out.
Right. Because that's how far from you guys in college.
It was 90 minutes, a 90-minute drive to get to the Kmart building from where we were at in Lexington. So 90 minutes there, 90 minutes back, and we'd get a 4-hour wrestling show that had Tarek the Great against American Kickboxer tearing it up, and then you'd have all the hardcore stuff, and get to see the ECW guys, and we were like, well, that's worth 3 hours in a car to spend $5-6, whatever
right,
it was,
because it
to
was
get a
super
ticket.
cheap. Yeah, it was super cheap, right?
And so we started going to the shows every week, and it was my friends that had actually got the ball rolling on us getting involved, because Ian had the hotline.
Yep.
To do the advertising.
569-1703 or something like
something crazy like that.
Might still be up. Call it and see.
And 502 is the area code. Give all the 569-170 something numbers a try. There might still be a IWA hotline update from 1999. On
you might get the results of the Doug Gilbert show. Or the Eddie Gilbert show.
Gilbert Memorial.
Yeah.
But anyway, my buddy at the time, Les Johns, made a phone call to the hotline and just left a message saying we came from Lexington and had a great time. He made a criticism to Ian because Tarek Kickboxer had a similar storyline to what was going on with Rob Van Dam and Sabu in ECW, with fighting for respect. Yep. And then Man Pondo and Ox Harley were having a Sandman Raven kind of feud going on, where I think Ox Harley had brought in maybe Pondo's ex-wife or something was going on where it lined up, and so Les Johns calls the hotline and says, had a great time, stop copying ECW with your storylines, but we had a great time. I didn't even know he had done it. And
I'm sure that went over well.
Next thing you know, it's 3:30 in the morning, and we get a phone call from an irate Ian Rotten going, just chewing us out at 3:30 in the morning. Well, I said chewing Les Johns out because I had nothing to do with it. And we were watching wrestling, some tapes on the VCR, and up at 3:30 in the morning, phone rings. Les picks it up, and it's Ian Rotten, just tearing into him, with saying the angles were not the exact same, kind of deal. And we found out, Les Johns goes, well, we still enjoyed it. We're going to come back and everything. Got to talking, and then Les Johns is like, I can't believe Ian Rotten's a baseball fan. I'm like, well, he uses a baseball bat, for crying out loud.
It is true, the barbed bat.
It doesn't take me by that big of a surprise. We ended up going to like a Cincinnati Reds game with Ian and Patty, and then Les Johns and Ben Rich wanted to bring IWA to Lexington.
Right.
So they made an arrangement with Ian or whatever, and I wasn't even a part of it. And the show happens in Lexington, and I'd done all the flyering, and I put up the chairs, set up the ring, was there the whole time. And then Ian looked at me, Ben, and Les, and said, all right, let's go talk business and figure out the paydays or whatever. And Les and Ben went back, and I stayed cleaning up, and he's like, well, where's the third idiot? And they're like, well, he's not part of the financial stuff. He's just helping out. And Ian couldn't believe that, with all the work I put in, that I didn't have a stake in it financially.
Right.
And it ended up being
phone call from me, Mitch Page.
Sorry about that.
Was it Vince McMahon calling it?
No.
Oh, damn.
It was somebody, never mind. Go ahead.
So anyway, yeah, that was the night before my 21st birthday. So it was November 7th, 1997 was that first show in Lexington. And after that, Ian was like, well, even though you're putting in all this effort and stuff, even though you're not financially involved, go ahead and we'll use you as security, and I'll find a way to use you because
Ian does appreciate people busting their ass for him.
Right. That was probably one of his biggest downfalls in the early Louisville days. Is if you look at King of the Deathmatch's '97 DVD, you could probably count 15, 20 guys out of the crowd that went on to become a part of the show in some way, whether it be ref, manager, wrestler,
Mitch Page,
everything. So
I believe Corporal Robinson seen walking around.
Yeah.
there's a lot of us that were there and to check out what was going on right then.
That was one of Ian's biggest downfalls, was taking buying tickets out of the crowd and putting them on the show.
Right.
He let me have my chance, and so to tie it back into like why I decided to do it is my father had just passed away a year before that, and it was a way for me to keep the memory of stuff I was doing with my dad alive.
Right.
Keep with me, and I'm like, well, my dad would appreciate knowing that I'm getting to do something that we love to watch together so much.
Right.
So when Ian was like, do you want to do this? I was like, sure, absolutely. And I think that was around the time I ended up meeting Mitch Page. I think at the time the ring crew was me, Mitch, and Corporal Robinson.
Yeah.
And you talked about doing the ring trucks, and
and then anybody I could trick into just riding with me. Hey, I got this fun deal going down.
Right. So
Jeff.
He was actually training with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he actually training with me, and he went on to. Actually, you can find him on little local shows around this area.
Right.
He wanted to get away from.
And some tight black leather shorts.
Whew! Looking good.
Real tight. Let's talk about how we said you saw you in the crowd on DVDs or on VHS back then. Let's talk about how you even discovered IWA and what you were thinking when you were watching these guys go through light tubes and stuff like that.
When I discovered IWA,
Yes.
There's a friend of mine works as a DJ at a radio station here locally, and I had talking to him. He's like, we got these tickets we're giving away to a wrestling show. I was like, oh, sounds good. He goes, well, somebody won them, but they didn't come pick them up.
Right.
And it's tonight. I was like, I'll take them. And he gave them to me. So I went and seen the show, and I was like, this is the craziest shit in the world. I want to do it.
This was at Dixie Highway?
Yes. And that's it. That was it. Show one. I want to do this. Matter of fact, the tickets that I seen or that I got were for that King of the Death.
Oh, yeah.
Then it just snowballed. Every week I would go to Dixie Highway and watch it. And it was just, I seen guys just doing crazy stuff. I say, well, you know, I'm a big guy. I might not be able to moonsault and do all this stuff, but I can do that.
Right.
And
Talking
I can do
about
that.
death matches. Or talking
Not
about
so much deathmatch,
brawling.
but you know the style of, you know, the bigger man style of wrestling. That was the great thing about IWA. There was every style of wrestling.
Very true.
Didn't care what you liked. It was on the show.
Right.
I'm not a fan of women, but they were on the show.
And but to their credit, the women that they had, Sherry Martel and Debbie Combs, they were beating
They
each
were
other's
good
asses.
then.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know what happened to them now.
I slept with Sherry Martel.
That's
In the same bed.
In the same bed.
With
we
clothes
slept.
on.
With clothes on, we slept. But I slept with a WWE Hall of Famer.
There you go.
Don't ever forget that.
well, technically, I had a chance to sleep with a WWE champion, but Tyler Black left.
There you go. Call back to episode 1 where he talks about penetrating the anal cavity.
Listen to him. That didn't happen. It was on the verge, and I'll scare the shit out of that kid. Oh, but no, it just snowballed into, I want to do this, And then one week I stayed late, and as everybody was tearing down the stuff, Ian came out and sat on the bleachers, and I went and talked to him. He explained to me his school, and, they bring kids in and teach them this, and he's not the only one that will teach you. You will get hands-on with all the guys and everything. And it just sounded like what I wanted to do. And I remember when I was a kid and my grandfather took me to wrestling. And we would go to the gardens and watch it. And I was like, this is good. I want to do this. And then one night, he kept laughing at me. My grandfather would laugh at me and go, well, I'm sure you could. You go ahead. You do this.
Right.
And then one night, there was midget wrestling. And I looked at him, and I can remember looking at him, and I said, now look, if them kids can do it, I can do it. And he laughed and laughed about that forever. And I said, what the hell, now I'm going to do it. And I signed up with the IWA Wrestling Academy.
Yep.
And went through right there. I think there was me. I'm not going to name anybody's name and make them feel bad. But I know there was... and there's DJ Donnie and 2 other people, and there was 4 or 5 of us.
And besides yourself, who else is currently a professional wrestler or was? Just
Cash trained there before me. He went through all of it before me. So out of the group that I did, I went on to wrestle
regularly,
and Jeff Crow, he went on to wrestle. But it's more or less as soon as he started wrestling, he decided he didn't want nothing to do with IWA. He went on somewhere else.
Right.
More of a Southern style. That's what he wanted.
Yeah.
So,
Kentucky-based
yes.
offense and stuff like that.
So basically me.
Right.
And I'd like to thank all of them for letting me take the ass whippings after everybody just fell out and disappeared.
Right.
There was nobody else for Ian to take aggression out in the ring.
Because people would, fans, like Fannin said, fans would say, I want to do this. I'm going to be a wrestler. They would come to one training session, fail horribly, get their ass whooped.
And
Not even get their ass whooped, just go through a day of training.
Which was an ass whipping. Don't get me wrong. I remember the first time I trained. When we were done, I got back and sat in the car, and I was like, oh, thank God this is over with. I got to do it again tomorrow.
Right.
But tomorrow, I drove all the way home, got to the house, and because of all the squats and everything else Ian had us do, I couldn't even walk up the steps to get into my apartment.
Oh, man.
I said, I'm just going to sit here for a while. And I would just sit on the bottom step, and about every 15, 20 minutes, just hop my ass up to the next step. Took me a little while, but I finally got in the house, and I thought, man, if it's like this tomorrow, then the third day's going to suck too. Because I never thought, no, I'm not coming back.
Right.
I wanted to do this.
Right.
And it finally just panned out.
Well, there was regular fans, people that were there every show would come do one training session, and you would never see them ever again on Earth.
They would get so embarrassed that you would never see them again. And like what Mitch was talking about, I didn't go through the wrestling training like he did, but my buddy, like Les Johns, Ben Rich, that we did the ring rental.
Right.
One Sunday, we came and did the ring rental, and
that's when people would rent the ring, and he would do a little seminar.
He would with us. There was no. It was just you'd rent the ring.
Okay.
You'd sign the little waiver that we're not going to sue if we break our necks when we do something stupid.
Right.
And one guy ended up tearing his ACL. He tried to do a leg drop off the top rope. He tore his ACL. He had no insurance.
Oh, of course.
So he was like a construction guy. He went to work the next morning. He went to work. He set the ladder up, like climbed 2 rungs up the ladder to like go up onto this. He was gonna like put on a roof or something.
Right.
And he took 2 steps up the ladder. No one was looking. He fell over onto the ground and said he like fell off the top of the ladder, and that was how he hurt his knee.
And this was over 10 years ago. So
There's no and no names were mentioned. I don't even remember the guy's name now, to tell you the truth. It's been so long because this was '97, so
right.
15, 16 years ago, But that was how he ended up getting his knee surgery covered.
This was also in the time frame when the Locke family would rent the ring and do an 11-hour wrestling show that whole day, and just amaze and entertain us. Which a couple of those guys actually got in the ring for a few,
Yeah.
and it was.
Yeah, I've actually talked to the Locke fam about their ring rentals, classics, and guys like Daniel Quinn and Isaiah and BDL. Before he passed away, all guys.
Jay Prodigy. Better known to anybody that's done the IWA
Brent
stuff.
Blades, he was a referee. He did some spots here and there, but all those guys started at ring rentals, and they went on.
And another one that started at ring rentals was Mickey Knuckles.
Yep,
it was her friends that rented the ring in Charlestown, and I think she was Miss Fortune.
Yeah, with at
the time
dollar signs as the S's.
Yes, she was.
And just they did those programs in 2002. So all the ring rental dudes from those from the ring rentals that did the pro-am. Mitch got. I think did you tag with someone? I know Roland tagged with someone, Cornbread, I think, as Mr. Backyard Wrestling #2, which Ian was furious about that. He would dare make fun of these backyard wrestlers on this pro-am show.
Which was actually my gimmick. I used to always, when goofing off, or when I would get on a wrestling website where I could voice my opinion.
Right.
I went into I went under the assumed name. There was 2 of them.
Okay.
I was either Mr. or Super Unknown.
Okay.
Or Mr. Backyard Wrestling 2.
So
I passed that name along, not knowing that they were going to get that much heat over it.
Right.
Yeah, that really wasn't a very popular name.
So if you want to go to any of the archive of board host message boards to look for those
anything
him burying someone, I'm sure.
Yes, every time. Sometimes it was real good friends. I was just fucking with them.
Right.
But boy, I was getting to them.
We talked about you guys coming into IWA. You guys did that cage match. You guys would go around the loop with Ian, take the ring to shows, set up chairs, do whatever he needed. So let's talk about some of the road stories. I don't know if you guys, I assume you guys rode in the U-Haul truck together to shows.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So let's hear any funny stories you got from that time frame.
A lot of times in the truck there wasn't a lot of funny things going on. You were either beat up,
right?
You were tired. You would sit back and go, "Can you believe what we did tonight?" I mean, it wasn't a lot of funny. I hate to just ruin it.
No, that's
not. I mean, there's times. I have one particular where we wrestled in Glasgow, Kentucky.
Okay.
And a couple people didn't make it. I got put on the card, and I got to wrestle Axel Rotten.
Was this you had already made your debut?
Yes, yeah. I'd already made my debut.
So it wasn't like you were a totally green guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was still green.
You're right, but you weren't fresh out of wrestling
Yes,
school.
I wasn't fresh out of school. I got to wrestle Axel Rotten. I thought, oh, this is going to be fun. And no, it's not. He beat the shit out of me.
Right.
If you have a chance to see the video, and there is a video of it, because when this night was over with, I never knew I wrestled Axel Rotten for a year. Till somebody asked me about it. I go, oh, yeah, I did wrestle Axel Rotten. I forgot about it because he beat the shit out of me.
So you had a concussion,
I think so.
Right.
The reason I think I had a concussion was the nap I took while driving the truck home. That's when I was like, you need to wake up and do something.
Right.
It was very bad. I don't know how many chair shots I took. I don't know how much pounding of my brain. It was bad. But I wouldn't change it for the world. It was a blast. I know. I seen the video. I must have been having fun. It looked good. So, but yeah, that was. I remember going to sleep. I remember falling asleep, but I can't remember why I fell asleep. And they're like, I think you have a concussion.
Right.
Axel did wear your head out. Thank you, Axel Rotten. I love you.
Yeah, I mean, the ring truck stuff, there wasn't really, like Mitch said, there wasn't a lot of fun things going on, but there was a lot of time that just me and Mitch going, planning out our future.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It was Mitch going, oh, man, you're going to manage me, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do... And,
rule the world.
And we would sit there and just come up with ideas for stuff that we could do, and
you guys have
things
any
like that, and... I
See,
I can't remember any real specifics of it. It was just always
98.5% of any idea I ever pitched up to the office just got thrown right back down.
Yeah,
that's not going to work.
That's a great idea. We're not going to do it.
Yeah,
but that's a great idea. That's the response you would get.
I don't think you need to do that.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, me and Jim were talking about that on the car ride down. How so many ideas. Let's talk about some ideas that this is definitely going to happen. We're going to do this, and I was telling him Rugby Thug was doing the fireball in Charlestown, and Rugby Thug was supposed to hit me with the fireball, and who was going to come avenge me? Jerry the King Lawler was going to come avenge my burnt face and wrestle Rugby Thug. So I know there was a lot of crazy ideas in Charlestown. He wanted Super Crazy against Mike Quackenbush, against Psychosis, or something along those lines. So there's a lot of...
Two of those three would have been entertaining. One of them I could give a shit less about.
Right. So any ideas like that, this is definitely going to happen. We're doing this next month, next year, whatever. So let's hear.
Well, one that stands out for me was the one night I got to manage... Well, to me, he'll always be American Dragon, because that's just how I knew him for so long. But Daniel Bryan, let's just inverse his name.
There you go.
Drop the sun, whatever.
Former WWE and World Heavyweight Champion.
But it was gonna. I got to manage him one night. I believe, what was it? New Albany.
New Albany,
I think it was.
He was your paid assassin, right?
Paid assassin to come in and take care of Ian Rotten before War Games.
Right.
And it was supposed to set up Daniel Bryan and Sarah Del Rey versus Ian Rotten and Mickey Knuckles, with me managing Sarah Del Rey and Bryan Danielson. And that would have been fantastic. I was so looking forward to that match. Of course, Get Your Next Time Kid turned into not returning phone calls, and just never ended up happening. Which that would have been a very good match,
right? Yeah,
and I would have loved to have been a part of it, but didn't happen.
Right. I know there was. I don't remember what the blow off was going to be, but there was one point. I forget how old I am, but he's like, "We're gonna have Pondo and Mitch beat you and Joey up. Joey being my nephew." And they're just.
We can still do that.
I mean, we could, yeah. They're gonna pound on you, and then he got to thinking, well, Mitch can give someone the rock bottom, and then he got to thinking, well, Mitch can give someone the rock bottom and the Vader bomb. So I was gonna take the Vader bomb, and I don't remember what that was gonna lead to. I think maybe Ian was gonna be out of town, and they were gonna do it, to get that, good heat for when Ian came back and saved the day. But is there anything like that? Any dream matches that you were promised? Obviously, your dream match of you versus Bruiser Brody could never happen.
I know, wouldn't that have been just the greatest thing in the world?
Or any maybe like
I gave up. I gave up on asking or trying to be a part of certain things.
Right.
When I was younger, I was also growing up in this area, in the Louisville area, wrestling at Louisville Gardens, or even before that they would call it the Armory days. I was always an Austin Idol fan. That was it. I mean, he was the universal heartthrob. He was Austin Idol. He was the best. And I remember telling Ian, oh yeah, I love it. And he said, well, I'm glad to hear that. I like to bring some of the guys from this area back.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that would be the greatest. I would love that.
This was what year?
99. Yeah, probably
Okay.
99. I had just my timing might be a little. I was just freshly Mean Mitch Page.
Okay.
I was no longer the couch potato. I
Right.
was Mean Mitch Page now. So I know it was that time frame.
Right.
Just turned there. And Ian was like, "All right, cool." And I let it go. And a couple of days later, Ian pulled me to the side, and everybody walked away. And he's like, "That idea you had, it's not going to pan off." And I was like, "That's fine, I understand." He goes, "Well, let me make sure you understand. It ain't because I didn't try. It's because some people in the deal were not open to friendly negotiations." And I was like, "I got you." So that's really the only one that I ever wanted to be a major part of, and it never happened.
And I think Austin Idol's notorious for not wanting to do business because I think actually it's.
I have heard he likes to get half the money up front and doesn't like to make the trip. That's what I have heard. So
There's actually a show this weekend in Mississippi. It was supposed to be him and Jerry Lawler headlining. He pulled out, and Jeff Jarrett took his spot. It's like an old Memphis show in Mississippi at a casino. So yeah, Austin Idol's kind of notorious for. Even Ian tried his damnedest. It probably wouldn't have worked out because some people like to take, like you said, money and not show up to shows.
Well, it wasn't Austin Idol supposed to be like the second Eddie Gilbert Memorial or the first one? One of the two, Austin Idol was supposed to be at the Eddie Gilbert Memorial thing, and he did send me half the money, and then not going to show up.
Didn't make the show.
But thanks to a real good friend of mine, Mr. Jim Fannin,
Yep.
Austin Idol's signature is written across my Ribera jacket, and I had a chance. So
So you did get to meet him. You did get to meet him.
Not the way I'd wanted to,
Right.
but still.
Speaking of that Ribera jacket, all offers are being accepted.
Bring it on. Yeah, I'm taking any offer. So I have an autographed Ribera jacket that I've got up for sale. Got it while I was on tour with Big Japan in 2000. I'm selling it.
Signed by Stan Hansen.
Yeah, Hansen, Lawler, Manny Fernandez, Terry, Dory, Snuka, Bockwinkel, Zabisco. It's all these signatures are on this jacket. So yeah,
So it's a piece of wrestling history, definitely. So if you're interested, hit him up on Twitter at Mitch Page 13.
Yep. Or find me on Facebook. I accept all friend requests. Come on. if you're open-minded and don't get offended, Facebook's the thing for me.
There you go. So we just talked about meeting your heroes. Let's talk. Maybe.
Well, I have a good story on meeting a hero.
Okay, that's what I wanted to go into. That's perfect.
One of the first nights, I mean, we had the beat down from Bull Payne and April Blood Showers, and it was. I mean, we'll go ahead and go into the story. I'm promoter.
Yep.
We're gonna do a deal where Bull Payne's gonna beat the hell out of me inside this cage that I had to help build. I had to help build
the
wooden cage. I had to help build this. 2 weeks leading up to April Blood Showers, I'm building this cage, and the whole time it's like Danny Trahan, me, a couple other people we're building this cage, and I'm building my own prison that I'm going to get destroyed in, and we're sitting there building this cage or whatever, and everybody kept being told only Bull Payne is to touch me. Because I'm going to suspend Bull Payne. He's going to come back as the Texas Hangman. I'm going to suspend Ian. He's going to come back as the Midnight Rider. This whole big thing.
You can't suspend half the roster.
You can't suspend half the roster. Everybody everybody was told specifically, do not touch me. Only Bull Payne. So Bull Payne is wearing me out. And he didn't even know that I was not training to become a wrestler at the time. You know, he knew that the security guys were always like Mitch, Cash Flow, the Jeff, the guys that were training were the security guys, and then there was me.
Right.
And every week he would grab me and suplex me on the floor.
Yep.
I ripped 4 pairs of jeans, like 4 weeks in a row, from Bull just coming up and grabbing me and suplexing me out on the floor while I was security guard.
Right.
It got to the point where I was like, I'm done buying pairs of jeans. I'll just wear shorts under the ripped jeans from now on.
Right.
And, it came time where...
you would look good in Zubaz, I have to admit.
I'm working on getting a pair of Cub Zubaz September 23rd. If you're in Chicago, September the 23rd, Monday night, in the bleacher, if you got a bleacher ticket, Zubaz Cub pants on a giveaway. And I've got feelers out on trying to get me a pair of these pants to go with my Cubs lucha mask I got.
There you go.
But anyway, I kept having, the jeans kept getting ripped and everything, and after like the 3rd week in a row, Bull be like, man, your training's not going very well. You're a little heavy on these suplexes. And I'm like, I'm not training.
Yeah.
I'm just, and he's like, holy crap, I'm beating the hell out of you for nothing? And I'm like, well, it's going to eventually lead to something kind of deal. So, then he went back to suplexing me all the time. But we get into this cage, and Bull's beating me up, and Bull's beating me up. And then all of a sudden, Kenny Bolin beating the hell out of me with the tennis racket. Real original gimmick there, Kenny Bolin. But, and then Tower of Doom is hitting me with a chair. And, Doug Gilbert, whom, here's a little backstory about me and Dougie Boy. The 3 of us, me, Les Johns, and Ben Rich, could not stand Doug Gilbert. I mean, his punches would miss by 18 miles, and you were in the front row 5 feet away from the ring. He's used to the Louisville Gardens.
Right.
And so we called him out on it. Be like, man, that is crap. These guys are beating the hell out of each other. The show's great. And then your lame ass, Jim Belushi riding on the coattails of your brother, no talent ass is out here, missing punches by 25 miles, and the entire building can see it.
Right.
So we would get up, turn our chairs around, and sit with our backs to the ring when Doug Gilbert would come out. So Doug Gilbert sees his chance to get back at me because I'm in this ring. So Doug Gilbert starts waylaying into me. And stuff.
The missing by a mile punches.
I think some of them missed by a mile and a half. I mean, but he got a couple of shots in on me, and he's sitting there going, I don't care what he had said, you're an ass, and I'm like,
oh, talking smack,
talking smack to me as he's hitting me, and then we finally get, Mitch gets laid out with the chair. I'm laid out. They're carrying me out on a stretcher. But before they put me onto the stretcher, I'm like laying in. And I mean, here's an embarrassing little story about it. I get color.
Yep.
In the cage, and Bull's standing over me, going, "Squeeze it, trying to get me to bleed more. And I don't know what he means by it, since I hadn't really gone through any of the training for it. So I take my hands and I start pressing on my head, squeezing, trying to get, and it's just blood coming off of my hands. He's like, "You're wiping it off, asshole! Stop!" And so then Dutch Mantel's looking over me, going, "Are you dead?" It's like, "No." He's like, "Okay, then." And he's like, "You'll be fine." But that happened on the first night, and then I think the second night that I was in, actually in the locker room doing the promoter thing, at the time my first favorite wrestler ever growing up was Tommy Rich.
Yep. And
he was on all the, not on all of the IWA shows. He was on a lot of the IWA shows. So Ian had set up this little rib to play on me, and he's like, go up and tell Tommy Rich, the story of how you're his favorite wrestler. He was your favorite wrestler when you were a kid.
Right.
He'd appreciate knowing that you remember the NWA days, and even dating back before he was the world champion in '81. So I go up to Tommy Rich and I'm like, it's such a pleasure to meet you. When I was 4 years old, you were my favorite, first ever favorite wrestler. And Tommy Rich looked at me and said, "Are you calling me a fucking old man, you piece of shit? I'll kick your ass right here on the spot." And then everybody starts jumping in. I can't believe you disrespect a former world heavyweight champion like that, calling him an old man. And I'm like, I didn't do anything. I just said he was my favorite wrestler. You didn't need to throw in the part about being a kid watching him and you're calling him an old man. I got tears coming down my face, thinking that my hero is gonna whoop my ass for something I said that that I was told would
make his day.
And then Ian started laughing, and I was like, "You asshole."
There's a famous story from shoot interviews that he acted like he did not like Steve Corino for like 2 years as a rib. Just, hey Tommy, nice to see you. Hey, go fuck yourself. And my Tommy Rich story is at XCW Midwest, Mitch Ryder's promotion. He would do Legends of Louisville Gardens and bring in a bunch of the old guys. And he had Tommy Rich and Buddy Landell, Rock and Roll Express, all these guys. So, I'm being a kid. I'm taking pictures with all these people, talking to Ricky Morton, talking to everyone. And I asked Tommy Rich, he's packing up his gimmicks. I say, hey, can I get a picture with you? He's like, yeah, let me just pack up these gimmicks, and I can do that for you. And I was even going to buy an 8x10. And, I'm letting him pack up his stuff, and then he just walks away. And I was like, okay, well, that's not happening. And Tommy Rich has never been the same in my eyes since then. And another random story from that show, Buddy Landell, he's up there in age, and it was a double shot. He comes out with an entrance windbreaker on. He gets in the ring, he takes it off, he's about to start his match, and he's the good guy in the match, wrestling the baddie, and the fans start saying, "Put it back on." So he's like, yeah, talking to the bad guy, "Put it back on." They're like, "No, we mean you. Put your entrance windbreaker back on." So he's like, just so sad that these people are saying, "Oh, you're so fat and out of shape, we don't want to see that." So the next night, the one that I actually went to, he wrestled in the windbreaker. So, yeah, that's kind of sad. I actually do have a picture with him in that windbreaker.
Well, Buddy Landell actually won the IWA Mid-South title from Bull Payne on that first show in Lexington. That was my first night in IWA, and then lost it in Bardstown, Kentucky to Bull Payne the very next night. So he's a one-day IWA champion.
Another one-day IWA champion, Eddie Guerrero.
He
was Ian was a big fan of getting some prestige to the title when he could, so there's a lot of there's a few random names that are former IWA one-day reign champions.
Salvatore Sincere, I think,
Tom
was
Brandy, the
Tom
Patriot,
Brandy
whatever you want to call him,
was a one-day champion.
How many days did you have him, Mitch?
Maybe 2.5. I really
Double
don't
the
remember.
prestige, everybody.
I really don't remember.
Well, I know poor Roland. Every time Roland won the title, he'd get hurt. Like in the match where he won it, or the next week he would get hurt, and then would end up having to have the title taken away from him because he'd be hurt.
That's how I got it the first time. And then I can remember I got it from him the first time because he was hurt, and it was a quick win.
Yeah.
And no big deal. Hey, I'm still the champ. Yeah, woo, excited.
Right.
And I lost the title to Bull. I think I had it 2 weeks maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I lost the title to Bull, and then somewhere down this long line, Roland gets it back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can remember telling Roland in the car one night, "Well, man, I hope you fucking hurt yourself because I'm ready to be the champ again. Can't wait for you to hurt yourself so I can be the champ."
You need that champion payday.
And he was like, "I don't think it's gonna happen, buddy. I'm feeling good." Well, he went to the show that night to defend it, and he hurt himself somehow. And then the very next fucking show, I'm working with Roland. He's like, "You got your wish, kid." And I'm like, "Thanks. You're 4 months older than me, kid."
Right.
You got your wish.
We talked about the Dixie Highway days. We don't really need to talk about the Total Eclipse Teen Club days.
Oh,
there was 20 shows there, maybe.
Was there that many?
Maybe.
I think there was at least 15. I mean, it was a fun little place.
I'm sure there was that because that's where if you go back to the first podcast, that's where the hair versus hair started.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know there's at least 8 of those.
Right.
So,
But one of my favorite IWA stories comes from the Total Eclipse Teen Club, where it was Ox Harley versus Corporal Robinson. I think Corporal had just had.
if you're talking about in the back,
yes,
that was the most amazing show that nobody got to see.
As a child, I just remember I was about to leave the show. It was the end of the show. I was about to leave, and I go in the back to say goodbye to people. I don't know how. I'm probably 10 years old at this time. And people are just moving tables and chairs out of the way.
Moving pool tables and video games out of the way.
And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? And then come to find out,
you probably witnessed the greatest 2 minutes of IWA right there.
I missed it.
It was amazing.
So let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So little backstory. Corporal was just coming off the Mitch-like incident where he had...
Okay, there's a little bit before that, too, before the match that night. Was a kendo stick battle something.
Right.
I'm not sure. We just happened to be 1 kendo stick short for the fight.
Mm-hmm.
So Ox, I believe it was, said, hell with it. And he unscrews a metal mop handle. Goes, I'll just take this out there. That's what he took, a mop handle of some
For his
sort.
sword.
Yes. So I don't blame Corporal for being a little mad when this is over with. And then that's where it goes from there. It just escalated in the ring.
And you guys were both
horribly. I wasn't part of it. I got to watch it all.
So you guys were both witnesses.
We were
Yes.
witnesses to it.
So let's hear.
But like I said, Corporal had the no rope salt barbed wire match
Glass came up, hit him
in
Salem against Ian. Not too long before this, the glass had bounced up and sliced him like right in the artery in the head, and blood was gushing out into like the 4th row and almost like a lawn sprinkler kind of thing.
Yep.
And he almost bled to death. They didn't clean the cut because they didn't realize that there was salt.
Yeah, they did not know that.
On it, so they ended up sewing him up with the salt and everything still in the wound. So then he ended up having an aneurysm from the salt being in the wound. So he almost died a second time. And now Corporal has a lot of stories, and a lot of them are straight BS. But when he tells you about the time he almost died twice because of this wrestling match, he's actually telling the truth. And, he, like Mitch, tried to come back immediately after his incident. Corporal, I'm a badass. I can be out there. I'm going to do this. And came back way too early.
Which is why I think Ian wouldn't let me come back too early.
Probably. Right, because this was before Mitch's incident.
Right.
So Corporal was the test pilot on this. He came back,
right,
and Ox Harley's out there beating him with this broom handle or mop handle, hitting him in like where the wound is on his head, and just like being oblivious to everything. And Corporal livid, so they get into the back.
Whoo!
And Corporal's ready to fight.
Yeah.
And
immediate explosion as soon as he comes through the curtain. What the fuck? Ian, I don't give a fuck. You can't even follow what's going on.
Right.
It is just pure entertainment gold.
Because, no matter what people say about Corp, he has some punching power. He knows, he can punch the shit out of some people.
And he knows...
we called them lottery punches. And if you won the lottery, it was bad for you, because he would clock you.
He's got a hand like a rock. I mean, he does.
And, but, Ian, being the kind of guy that he is, said, if you guys want to beat the shit out of each other, stop talking and do it.
I can't believe you're going to waste this back here and not put it in the ring. But fuck it, we're men be men. Hey, everybody, let's move these tables back. And
everybody's pushing pool, because, it's a team club.
Right.
8 pool tables get pushed up against the wall, and everybody moves everything out of the way, and they start to fight, and Ox threw one jab.
And landed.
It landed the first jab.
I think that was the last one.
Corporal then proceeded to punch him in the face like 10 times in 2 seconds. It was something that you would see out of a video game. It was just rapid fire.
Fastest barrage of punches to the face.
Ox goes, I quit, you whoop my ass. And
admitted defeat.
Admitted defeat immediately.
It was wow, was all that could have been said about that. And nobody got to see it.
Right.
The next week, though, was even better, because Corporal's got a mouth on him.
Yeah.
And so he let the Locke family know exactly what had happened. So Ox comes to the ring the next week for
The Locke
his match.
family being a regular
We
IWA
talked
fans.
about,
Yeah.
they rented the ring from the Kmart days, and Jay Prodigy, Warlock, all these guys.
Yeah.
Corporal had told him what happened, so when Ox comes to the ring the next week, they stand up and they start chanting, "Corporal Robinson kicked your ass, doo-dah, doo-dah." Ox did the match. I can't remember. Got through the match, whatever. But after 5 minutes of that chant from the Locke family, he walks back, through the curtain, walked up to Ian and said, "I quit." And
Quit on the spot.
Quit on the spot because of a chant from the Locke
And he
family.
wasn't seen. That was in '98.
Yeah, it was like mid-90s, somewhere
And he
mid-
wasn't-
Yeah, had to been 98.
And
Yeah.
he wasn't seen again until 2000 or so.
Yeah, I mean, he
came back to
disappeared
Charlestown
he
a couple
disappeared
shows.
for a couple of years after that.
He's
Locke
great
family
though.
ran
Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah,
love
Ox
Ox
is an
Harley.
awesome
He's a
dude,
great
yeah.
man. He's a great man, but that night just wasn't his night.
It wasn't. No, not against Corp. And we talked about, Ox came back in the Charlestown building. A lot of people came back or made their debuts in Charlestown. So let's talk a little bit about that shitty old barn on Highway. What is it? 52, 62?
First off,
62.
it wasn't a barn. It was a garage.
It was a semi-truck repair shop.
Yes.
With oil residue in the floor permanently.
Yes, you could not get good traction
So
when you left the ring.
anytime it was wet, anytime it rained, anytime it was really hot, condensation would get on the floor.
Yes.
It was like you were just falling on mud or something.
It was very hard to move quickly outside of the ring.
So
Wow, there was I like that building though. I had a
I
lot
love
of
that
fun at that building.
It was the perfect wrestling building, for what you wanted to see at a wrestling show. You had the ring, you had the concessions, you had a bathroom, you had a balcony for the camera.
Yes, some of you guys had a bathroom. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, we had a piss
We
bucket
had
in
a
the
bucket
locker
in
room.
the back.
Let's. I know fans have heard about the piss bucket, but I don't know if they know about the piss bucket.
Just go into any Home Depot, go into the paint department. The 5-gallon orange Home Depot paint bucket.
And picture it with
picture-
piss, so much
Yes.
piss in it.
5 gallons
It
of
might
piss.
trickle over the side because somebody forgot to empty it. And wrestlers, if you don't know this about wrestlers, they're nasty.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
And this was in.
Let's just say there would be more than piss in that bucket by the end of the show.
It was nasty.
This was 2000, 2001. So, kayfabe was obviously still alive then. And they had the piss bucket, so they didn't have to go to the bathroom with the fans,
Right.
stuff like that.
And
So-
whoever was the youngest person
Yep,
to the locker room
yep.
had to empty that fucking bucket. Take that bucket and dump it. That's nasty.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
And every time, here's how much of a whore I am. Every time that it was Brent Blades that had to empty it, he would give me $10 to go empty the piss bucket for him.
Oh, I'd have done that.
But $10, that I wouldn't make that in 3 months of IWA shows.
Hey, I'd have done that. I'd have done it for $10.
I remember.
But the big deal was when whoever would go to empty the bucket, they couldn't take it through the crowd. They'd have to take it through the locker room full of boys.
Right.
Well, of course, we're all sitting against the wall going, when he gets over here, kick the bucket.
Oh, God.
Kick the bucket.
Was anyone trying to top it off?
We always tried to kick the bucket. It was no big deal. And this is how it was.
I remember one time someone had thrown orange pills into the piss bucket, and Bull Payne would have talked like you just raped his mother or something. How dare you sully the piss bucket, the bucket of piss, with this trash?
It was bad. It was so
yeah, I remember
bad.
a lot of young trainees or
Yeah, that was it.
or
The trainee
students.
was it.
Yeah.
Empty that bucket.
Nicky Muckles had to
Yep.
empty it quite a few
And a
times.
lot of people had the piss bucket, not paying attention. You turn on what? And you splish. And you hit somebody on the pant leg
Right.
or a sock foot. Now, walking around in IWA's locker room in just sock feet wasn't a good idea.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about the locker
But when you got a sock foot covered with piss bucket,
with like sometimes a week old piss.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
not,
dude.
it's not freshly brewed.
no, sometimes, well, the bucket's not full yet. I don't have to empty
It's
it this week.
concentrated.
That's nasty. Now think back about the locker room full of boys we had.
Right.
That's some nasty piss going in that bucket. And that's how it was. But it makes you smile now when you laugh and you go, God, we empty piss buckets.
Right.
Man. Some guys bitch because they have to bring in a case of water from the truck.
That is true.
You know, so fun.
They got it good nowadays. A lot of ribs happened in the Charlestown locker room. I don't know. I'm sure you were involved in a lot of them. But I remember CM Punk was a big fan of gluing people's boots or shoes or anything to the ceiling. And, the guys would come back, hey, where are my boots at? Oh, I don't know. They would look around. And then finally someone would be like, just look up. And there's their shoes or their boots or something
he
like that.
didn't do that to everybody.
Not to everyone, no.
There was a select handful.
People like Adam Gooch got it.
Yeah, you could see some of these guys getting it.
So let's talk about some ribs, maybe.
I think my favorite rib from the Charlestown building, and it didn't start in the locker room,
right?
And didn't really involve the locker room per se a lot, but Hito had come in from Japan, and at the time, my God, how many of us were living at Ian's double wide? At that point, it was Hito, Necro, me, Mark Wolf, Chris Hero,
maybe
Corporal, and so then it was Ian, Patty, John Calvin, Joey, then it was like Prazak, Cabana, Punk would
you
all
never
go over
knew
there.
who you were going to walk in.
Would all go over there after the show.
That's why it was called Russell House.
It was a double wide, just packed full of people. And one night, I am not as gung-ho with my straight edgeness as CM Punk is, but, I would not partake of any of that kind of stuff. Didn't even like to be around it.
Yeah.
There'd be many times where I would stay out in the car.
Yep.
When they would be at a bar after the Milwaukee shows, I would go and sit in the car because I didn't want to be around that lifestyle at all, kind of deal. But there was some stuff going on that I was not partaking of, but I was just sitting there watching the mayhem ensue, and somehow, like, Necro became part of this rib, started between Ian and Corporal, that, like, Necro got up to leave the room or whatever, and they started telling Hito that Necro thought that Hito's wife was 100 times better in the ring
Hito's
than he
wife
was.
being Megumi Kudo, who's established star.
Very well known star.
Very well known, very awesome.
Right. So they're like telling Hito, Necro thinks your wife is 100 times better than you, and he wants to have sex with your wife.
Right.
And
I was not there for this.
They keep telling, and Hito is just getting livid and livid.
And he's a soft-spoken man.
Right. He was very polite, very soft-spoken, a nice guy. But he was getting pissed that, Necro was having these thoughts about his wife. And, Necro came back, everybody shut up, and they were in such a bad state of mind that they forgot to tell Hito, oh, we were just joking with you. Well, Necro and Hito were wrestling, like, the next show.
Right.
So, we're all sitting around in the back, and you can just hear these loud explosions from the ring, like, Necro and Hito are killing each other.
Oh, yeah.
And we're like, did you guys tell Hito